prompt you to sign up to this webinar. There's 3 things in particular that we really wanted to cover off today, which are outside the normal kind of appeal fundamentals, which is items 2, 3, and 4 on the agenda here. But that being said, the first thing we are going to do is spend probably 10 or 15 minutes talking about how do you get the basics right when you're developing an appeals program. Again, regardless of how big or small your program is, it's the first appeal you've sent, the 100th appeal you've sent. Let's talk about some of the key things that really drive appeal success. Then we'll get stuck into the bulk of today's webinar, which is the next 3 items on the agenda here. So the first thing is high value treatment. Your very best, most loyal, special, high value donors. How do you make them feel incredibly important and make them feel like they're on the inside track? Second thing is a few tips and ideas on how to develop creatives, particularly when you have very little to work with. You've got no images, you can't share case studies names, you're talking about children that are in a vulnerable situation. We've got lots of ideas around how you can actually make that pack work beautifully, even when you haven't got a lot to deal with. And the last thing is, what is the role of digital? And we'll talk specifically about the 3 ways you can use digital, whether it's actually as the key driver of appeal income, whether that's to support your DM appeal program, or in actual fact, in more recent times, some of the examples we'll talk about when it's really important to get stuff out quickly. In other words, in an emergency situation. When it comes to digital within appeal, I think there are 3 key roles that it can play. The first is actually supporting your DM appeal. So you have a really traditional DM program. Most of the income comes from the mail, but more and more you're probably seeing that a slightly bigger proportion of that income is now coming from online. So we'll talk about some examples there. It may actually be the driver of your appeal income. I'm going to show you an example of an organization that's gone from almost nothing to several $100,000 a year by doing or implementing a digital appeals program. And the third, and probably the most topical at the moment, is when you really need to get out quickly, and particularly in an emergency situation, which a lot of you have probably experienced over the last few months, sending out emergency appeals on the back of the COVID situation. So again, digital can play an incredible role there. So first example I'm going to show you is about supporting appeals, and this is our friends at Kidney Health Australia. What a beautiful photo that one is. And you can see one of their appeals here. So pretty traditional appeal. They've got a very sort of now mature, reliable income stream through their DM appeals program. Done a tremendous job in moving a lot of their lottery supporters across to their appeals program. Lovely appeal here. You can see again another great example of illustration and as well as imagery. But how do they actually then support through digital? Now, I just wanted to show you a couple of things here. This is just an email really that supports the actual DM program, and this is the landing page where people would actually fall after clicking on that email. Now, the important thing here is the seamless integration from the mail and the frictionless experience through this particular landing page. So you'll notice here that Leslie has asked for a gift of $25, $50, or $100. You can see that through the 3 big buttons in the middle of the email here. Once you click on that, you will be taken to this landing page, which in this instance is developed by our friends over at GiveEasy. And Leslie's details are pre-populated on the landing page. So in this instance, the $25 first ask that she's clicked on is the $25 amount that is populated in this field here. Leslie's details are also in there, and $25 happens to be the amount that Leslie was asked for in the appeal itself. So again, making sure that if you're asking somebody for an amount in your DM mailing and you're sending people emails to support it, that those amounts match. There's nothing worse than asking somebody for a gift of say $500 through the post, and then they get an email and they click on the link and they end up on a landing page, a donation page, where the ask isn't pre-populated, or perhaps it is, and perhaps it defaults to a $50 ask one. There's a huge lost opportunity there. The second thing is how frictionless this experience is. Now, because Leslie's already given before, she literally had to click the donation amount button, $25, and when she goes here, if she had given before, sorry, I should have said, there would have been a button here that would just said donate, and that would have been it, 2 clicks and she's done. In this instance, this is showing an example of somebody who hasn't given before. She'd have to click donate with credit card and just fill in the credit card details. But the other thing to consider is that they're the only things we're asking for. I see a lot of donation forms online, particularly when they're supporting the DM program. where we're asking for all these additional fields you don't need. For example, address. You do not need to capture a physical address to take a credit card donation. So why capture it? If you've got somebody who's an online donor, or you've already got their address details, you don't need to capture it here. In this instance, we only need 4 pieces of information: amount, first name, last name, email address, and as I said before, if you'd already been a donor, would have pressed a button and that donation would have been taken in 2 clicks, which is incredible. So make the experience easy, make it enjoyable, make it consistent with what you're talking about in the pack itself.